Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Bonnie. This is episode 120, and we have fun with a new format we're calling Binge, Watch, Cancel. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen. Good to be back. Hopefully it hasn't been quite so long since our last little show here where we got to talk about the Barbenheimer phenomenon. Today, there's been a whole bunch of content that's come out over the course of the past, I don't know, like let's say 3 or 4 months, something like that. And so we wanted to be able to do a little touch on all of these different shows and movies that we've seen, but not necessarily go dive deep into any one of them. So we're going to call this one Binge, Watch, Cancel. This was the brainchild of one award-winning director, Brian Redondo. What's up, Brian?
Yo, I just really like the game Fuck, Kill, Marry, and I felt like we could play that here
For the
without
record,
it being cringy and getting us canceled.
For the record, the order of the original game still aligns with how we made things analogous in our own version. So a bunch of that stuff we did before pre-recording shouldn't have even been a thing.
Maybe you're right.
It's cool. Continue.
What?
Continue.
What just happened?
Fuck, Marry, Kill being being a
word
1-to-1 to Binge, Watch, Cancel. I'm being petty. Continue.
Before we started recording this, I was in tears just because Savon's head was going to explode based on a question that I asked that I just wanted clarification on. And
Wes asked, "What is binge?" And
no,
Savon,
that's not what I asked.
Savon defined it. Savon broke out the Webster's Dictionary and gave the actual definition of binge.
I was dying. All right, I'm still dying. All right, so we're going to go through all of our shows that we put into this binge category. Savon, would you like to define the binge category for? Just kidding. It's the category where, hey, you just want to like plow through all the episodes or the movie, I guess, if you want to talk about a movie, and you're just like, it's no nonsense. You're just in it. It's done, as fast as you can. So that's where we're here. My episode or my binge pick is The Bear season 2. And the only thing, well, first of all, very bingeable show. I think I got through it in a day and a half. And the first season I got through in one night. I literally watched it from maybe 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. and was done.
Do you remember anything?
Oh yeah, well, some of it.
Are you alive?
And that show is like the most bingeable show I think I've ever watched in my life. Season 2, more of the same in terms of its bingeability, but massively different in terms of the scope and feeling of the show. The first, I would say, was just like a bunch of chaos. Like everybody's yelling, things are people are about to be killed, like sort of, but it's like in a restaurant world. And then in this one, it's way more like ethereal. You're way more focused on one person at a time and like their focus on things, and like characters actually like develop over the course of 1 or 2 episodes. You get like a crazy flashback scene to this like Christmas dinner. So much going on in this show, and it's so different. Not everything feels like the whole thing is going to fall apart at any given moment. So a very different take, I think, for the show. But also pretty cool that they just went a different direction, because I think if they would have done the same thing, it would have been like, it's just more of the same. Like, I don't need that. The way they changed gears a little bit in this, I think, really plays to their strengths and makes it more important that you watch it. But still a bingeable show. Not something I'm going to necessarily write, a 3,000-word essay on. Brian, did you watch The Bear?
Write a 3,000-word essay about anything?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a teacher. I like writing.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Do you have like
Brian,
essays in your drawer that to submit for classes that you don't even take?
I probably have some Facebook posts from 15 years ago that were equivalent of essays. Brian,
keep them to yourself.
Did you watch? Yeah, did you watch The Bear?
I watched half of the first season.
Hey, fuck you.
It's a very bingeable show.
Hey, why you
that's all
got
I have to say
mad?
about it.
To keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Brian, we cut you off. What about the Bear?
I mean, the Bear's a good show. Like, I only watched half of it, but it's clearly a good show. It's kind of like stressful, so I kind of think it's hard to binge.
Oh, yeah, I love the stress, but the stress in the first one I thought was way more stressful in like an immediate sense. The second one I think is more stressful in like a character identity sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
I haven't seen the second one, but I trust your opinion. Maybe.
Oh! You're halfway through the first season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that first season is just like rife with stress. Like everything is a fucking big deal. Like the timers are going off, right now, and things are gonna explode. Cool, Brian. What's your binge?
I'm gonna go with Silo.
Ooh.
On Apple TV Plus, which I subscribed to just to watch Silo because I really wanted to check out this sci-fi dystopian series that
based
caught
on
my
a
attention. Basically, like, there's years into the future, humans have been shrunken down to a population of, I think, 10,000 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they all live in a massive silo that's like 150 floors underground. And they're not allowed to go outside. Like, the world has turned to shit. Too many nuclear bombs went off or something, or climate change or something. They don't know if they go out there, they'll die, right? And it turns out it's like a murder mystery, but it's also like a conspiracy mystery. And it's got like the social satire thing going on about how society is organized, at least in this particular setting. Very bingeable, very, very bingeable. Every episode, you're like, what new mystery are we gonna uncover, or what crazy thing is the protagonist gonna do? Because the protagonist is a sheriff. She was put in that position. She didn't want to be sheriff, but she's just somebody that's trying to figure out why her lover got killed.
And she has no training.
Just zero training, and she flies off the handle, and crazy stuff happens, and Common is in it, and he also flies off the handle. So
Tim Robbins is in it.
Cool show. It's a cool show. I'm like super excited for the next season. I want to know what happens.
Yeah. So this show made my watch list. So I'll just talk about it now, and then we don't have to talk about it later. Savon, Savon, like I think you would like this show too, except you would find that some of it was dumb. You're like, that's just dumb. What are they doing?
Shrinking.
But no, Silo.
Okay.
You would definitely think Shrinking is dumb. But Silo, I don't know. Silo like just captured my attention. I watched it with Jen as well, and I found myself like wanting to go to the next episode. I'm off on summer right now, so I wanted to go to the next episode, but couldn't because Jen's still working. So I had to wait. And I think that was good, though, for me. Savon, you would agree with this, that it was probably good for me to wait, right? Like, you gotta soak it in, really absorb it, things like that. And I, too, am ready for the next one. So this has made my watch list, because I think to me, it's like not something that I needed to binge. I didn't need to watch every episode, like, back to back to back to back to back. I really wanted to, like, I did want to, like,
you got to marinate on what happened.
Yeah, consider what the questions are being asked in each episode and how they might get answered in the next episode. So I like that they did it week by week.
Look at Wes with the character growth. Look at character growth, Wesley.
I mean, I still wanted to binge it, like that's still my impulse, but I'm glad that I didn't. I'm glad that I kind of like let that time happen in between. And I think there's so much more in this world that we're not seeing, and they did a great job of building that out. Like at first it's like, oh, it's this, and then it's like, wait, it's this, and then it's like, wait a second, it's this. Like the scope of the story sort of expands a little bit each couple of episodes. And so I don't know, I think it's a really well done show. I would watch it again. I would recommend anybody else to watch it. So that's where I'm at.
The world building is good in this one for sure.
Okay.
What's your next? Brian, are you going to talk about all your binges? I think you should.
Oh yeah, is that how we're going to do this? Okay.
Yeah, just do them all in now.
Binge through your binges.
Because I was on Apple TV Plus all of a sudden, I started watching Shrinking. And the reason why I watched Shrinking was because Harrison Ford, our friend Han Solo, Indiana Jones, was on a podcast with Conan O'Brien. And Harrison Ford was the most hilarious person I've heard on that podcast. He is
Really
so dry and sarcastic, and he was just making Conan and everybody else cackle like so hard, myself included.
Do
I
you
did
think it's a
not
bit?
realize like how good he was. And so it turns out he's in this sitcom, essentially a sitcom called Shrinking, with that also features my favorite dude from How I Met Your Mother, Marshall.
Jason
Also the
Segel?
guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Yeah, Jason Segel. And like they're psychiatrists, but Jason Segel is going through grief, like his wife died, and he's all messed up. But his circle is psychiatrists. It's also got Jessica Williams, who's phenomenal. She's probably the
Fantastic.
the best character and best comedic person on that show. And just together, it's all about like people dealing with grief and dealing with their own mental issues, neuroticisms, whatever. But in a way that they're really helping each other. They're trying to help each other, and they're like good people because of it. They're flawed people, but they're good people. And it's still pretty funny, which I could never imagine existing before. And it's just one of these shows where like you really like all the characters. They're all very lovable in their own ways, and they all have their flaws. But because they're trying to help each other, makes them very endearing. And I just ended up watching all of it in like a couple days because it was really delightful.
I love the show. I'll say that I think everybody should watch it. It's got a great ability to make you laugh and a great ability to make you cry and everything in between. And also, I think it's written or produced by Brett Goldstein, who also is part of Ted Lasso's team. So that may be something that is both or a positive or a negative for people out there.
It felt very Ted Lasso-y, I think.
Yeah.
Like has a big heart.
Yeah. Very enjoyable. Savon, does that sound like your kind of show?
Maybe. Like, you know what? It's just one of those. It could be interesting, but also I'm not about to get another TV subscription to watch these shows. I think that's really what it is.
All right. I'll send you the $7.
Like a lot of these, the Apple, it's like, man, I got to get into Apple TV. It's just, I don't got capacity for another streaming service. I got Amazon, I got Hulu, I got Disney, I got Netflix. Like, I got a lot of damn streaming services, bro. So TBD, we'll see. If someone throw me a login, maybe, but like, that's less likely.
Friends and family, where they at?
I know my friends and family got Apple TV Plus. For me, Binge, simple. This is me back in my anime bag. My Hero Academia Season 6. For my anime fans out there, My Hero is, we all know My Hero is one of the more popular animes out there. It is a superhero anime based around like most shonen battle anime. There are students, this is a society in a world where people have superpowers, aka quirks. They vary greatly in terms of how powerful or useful they are. Some are virtually useless, others have lots of applications. Society's based around it. So some people are basically, being a hero is a job and profession, and people with power suited to different elements of that can go to schools, get trained in it, do all that stuff. The characters have they're in school. There's looming threats. But I'm leaning into season 6 because this show is about like students in a high school setting learning to control their powers and get trained to become professional heroes. You have to have a license. You work with other heroes as internships and apprenticeships and all that.
Very shonen anime, right?
Yes, it's a very shonen anime. But I think what's fun is that they vary our intention of what a superpower society would look like. Because again, some powers don't do anything, and people aren't encouraged. You're not allowed to just use your powers in public. That's illegal, which is why you need a license to even be able to operate, as a hero. Like that's a very sticking point in the show. So the most recent season, like every shonen anime, there's a war that happens, some kind of war arc, and this war arc happens in the show takes place in Japan, and the reason this war arc is so good is because in the manga there's a shit ton of action fighting to the point where it's like, yo, how are they gonna condense this into like an actual show because of the raw volume of fights, and just how can they afford to animate the nonstop fighting? And this season of the show did all of that sensationally well. lots of character. Like the season is so long and full of fights that there's actual, or it's like a recap episode halfway through the season to summarize the events of the war, and it's so much that it's like, oh wow, multiple cities got destroyed, numerous people were maimed, killed, or permanently injured. Society has literally started to fall apart because of how bad this war is. Like they're basically like Japan is in a state of national emergency to the point where they're asking for help from other nations to get involved because their situation's so bad. Even if you're not huge into like anime or this show itself, which is a good show, it's bingeable because it's just a nonstop war arc where there's 3 different fronts where battles are happening. There's a swing of the heroes winning, the villains starting to swing back and they catch their win and do stuff. There's twists. Characters come up who you thought were dead or thought were out of commission or retired. It's just everything you want from a war arc. And I think what most anime struggle with battle arcs and war arcs is it feeling like there's actual consequences to the war, because sometimes they're afraid to kill characters off. But in this one, again, cities are like, there's a character who legit rampages through like 10 different cities, and those cities are actually like real Japanese cities are actually like destroyed. Heroes are quitting. Society falls apart to where vigilantism starts to rise and people hate heroes. It's it really feels like a actual war arc in life and society's falling apart. So for my anime fans, the show has obviously 5 other seasons you have to watch to catch up to, but even just in terms of just action and production value, it's just some quality shit. And I watched
Sounds epic.
Yeah, I watched the weekly releases, but like this is the kind of thing of like, all right, cool, I could binge this now. And also, me and Kendall read it years ahead because before it was animated, so that lends itself to being bingeable because we already know what happens. But now that I've gotten to watch the season on the release schedule and now it's all just out, this is something that I'm kind of getting ready to do another deep binge into because it's just so much action and so much just dope shit happening.
Deep binge.
You're going like New Game Plus.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that is exactly what it is. It's like, all right, cool. I know what happens. All right, cool. Let's just do a fresh run knowing what I know and let's just see what this ride is like with having all the context and everything at my fingertips. So yes, I'm New Game Plus and My Hero Academia, baby. And if you're into it, it's a really good season.
Where can people watch this show?
Hulu. And if you have Hulu, you can watch it. And if you have Crunchyroll, you can also watch it there. Crunchyroll will be a lot better about having English dubs for my people there who maybe aren't fans of subs. I think the sub and dub are both good, but I'm not going to buy a Crunchyroll subscription, so I just live with having the subtitles on when I watch it on Hulu. But it's a really good anime. It's one of the better animes out there. What'd you say?
Nice.
Keeping it pure, that's the way to do it.
Oh yeah, if I don't need to understand what they're saying, I just need to feel the emotion. Then there's the occasional words in Japanese that they like, oh, there is no translation. They're just saying it in English, but as a person who doesn't speak English. So, yeah, it's...
Oh, no, that's like how Japanese is built.
Oh.
It's partly how they do
it.
I don't want
to... Well, I still don't want to imitate the lines because it still feels problematic. But, yes, it makes for some good voice acting.
Yeah. I always tell people that, like, if you say hamburger, Japanese people have no idea what you're talking about. But if you say hanbaga, that's the actual word for hamburger.
That's amazing.
Shout out to Japan.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they took the English word and then just completely forgot the English word existed. And they're like, nope, this is the word now. That's it. The way I say it is the thing that I know and everything else is not. All right, let's get to your watch, Savon. What is on your watch list?
Oh, yeah. My watch list is pretty straightforward. They clone Tyrone. I watched that.
Oh, is it good?
Oh my god, I watched that shit this past.
I haven't seen it yet.
First of all, this is another one of those movies that I knew it was going to be good solely off of just the casting. Like, excuse me. Yeah, the casting alone had
Jamie
me.
Foxx, right?
I mean, first of all, anything you put Jamie Foxx in is going to be good. Like, there's just no other way to put it. John Boyega is really, really talented too. Like, I feel like I don't see. Boyega. Yeah, I mean, John Boyega is really good. I feel like obviously he gets really heavily associated with like being Finn in Star Wars, and that's not always the best thing that should first pop up. But every role I've seen him in outside of Star Wars, that man is like talented. He was great when we watched The Woman King, other just random stuff. But he's great in this movie. Man has so much talent and so much range, and I'm glad he gets to flex it. Who else is in it? Jessica Williams was in it.
Teyonah Parris.
Wait, no, sorry, not Jessica Williams. I'm sorry. Yes. Teyonah Parris, I had a different thing pulled up. Teyonah Parris is in it. She's awesome. She was in. She's gonna be in the Marvels. She was in WandaVision.
She's Spectrum.
Yeah, the cast is those three do the real carry. They're the main people you're really seeing acting in the movie. They're all amazing. The movie is a weird blend of satire, kind of like mystery, almost science fiction-ish movie on the back end, but through the lens of like referencing classic blaxploitation, Shaft, Black Dynamite type vibe. The movie has this really, I think one of the things that makes the movie so great, because the people I was watching with, we all noticed this, was you can't figure out what time period the movie takes place in, because Jamie Foxx's character, right, is dressed like a classic 70s pimp, but then John Boyega's character is kind of dressed more like a 90s 2000s hustler type, and then other characters kind of have modern hairstyles. People have like weird old school Cadillacs, but then there's still smartphones and there's still references to like Bitcoin and social media. But it was done in a very ethereal way that made the movie really fun to watch, because the whole time you're just like, I can't catch what the vibe is. Like, the music is oddly modern.
Why did your room turn so bright all of a sudden?
My lights, I have them oscillate brightness little by little to give it a little bit of ambiance. You heard me?
That was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I was like thinking about Oppenheimer and like the atomic bomb. They were like, don't turn around until you see the flash. And I was like,
no, my lights are always just kind of little pulsing. You can set the rate.
all right.
But yeah, the movie has a real timeless feel where you can't place the time period, but in a really, really dope way. Also, the dialogue is just great. Jamie Foxx steals the show because he's just hilarious. His dialogue almost reminds me of what makes the Boondocks funny, where he always just is making little quips and side comments and little just comments that barely slap past you, and it's great. But Clone Tyrone, amazing, worth watching. Even people who like the concept, you're gonna go and thinking, oh, this would be good, and a lot of times you'll walk away thinking, oh crap, I thought this movie would be like a solid 8 out of 10. This movie is like a 9 or a 10 out of 10.
Oh,
and Brian, I see you nodding in agreement.
Co-sign.
It's a good movie that punches
Tyrone
above its weight class when it's already a good movie, and that's
it's
rare,
so
bro.
good. It's so good, top to bottom.
like Wesley would like it.
Vibe good. Yeah, Wes would like it for sure.
Nice.
There's
okay,
like
I'm watching it.
The big mystery about like what's going on underground and like the secret basements and the clone, right? Like
Yeah.
all of that is really fun. Jamie Foxx, fantastic. Cinematography is beautiful.
The scoring.
The score, like the soundtrack, every song is perfect. And
when they play
for
Back
me,
That
the best
Ass
part-
Up, I don't know if you called it. They were playing.
in
It took me in the church. I was like, are they
church.
playing Back That Ass Up? I'm like, they're playing back. Like, no wonder. I'm like, even my angry atheist ass was just like, hold on, they getting down in the church. What they playing? I'm like, that's Back That Ass Up. I'm like, which, no spoiler, but that plays heavily into the theme of the movie, right, Brian? I'm like, oh,
Very
dang, they
good.
got my stupid ass.
It's so good. And one of the best parts to me actually is seeing Finn from Star Wars run around looking like Jimmy Butler.
Right?
Like, whoa, I didn't know.
Himmy
So,
Butler.
Definitely, yeah, watch.
Yeah,
That's
highly
a watch.
recommend. Good movie. And it's on Netflix,
right.
so easy to just sit down, put it on, and watch it.
For sure. Brian, what's your watching category?
I am gonna throw American-born Chinese into this category.
Ooh.
right.
It's kind of a watch binge.
I thought it was not a kid
Watch,
show. It's not a
watch
kid
slash
show?
binge?
So like Secret Invasion, like I watched Secret Invasion and I was like, okay, sure.
Okay.
And then I was reminded that American Born Chinese, which is a comic book I read a very long time ago,
Oh, that's a comic book.
is on Disney Plus also. And the adaptation of it is way better than the source material. So basically
That was a backhanded compliment, I think.
the premise, well, I mean the comic was good and like this is
Okay,
better.
okay.
So the
Okay.
premise is basically you got this like Chinese American, actually maybe he's Taiwanese American, but whatever. He's like high school kid, awkward. You got like, standard, like doesn't fit in, feeling ostracized, awkward teenage year story melded with like this like ancient Chinese like fairy tale epic where the Monkey King's son comes down to Earth on a mission to find the MacGuffin, and he's posing as a foreign exchange student. And because they're both Asian, they get paired up together by the principal. And so the Asian American kid hates the Fabi kid, but the Fabi kid needs the Asian American kid for his quest. and and some like interesting stuff ensues, and then you throw in like kung fu fight scenes. You got Michelle Yeoh's in it. You got Ki Hu Kwan is in it. Stephanie Shu, like basically the whole cast of Everything Everywhere All at Once. You got yeah, and then you got this like meta thing going on where there's like a TV show within the TV show, but it's like a bad 90s show where there's there's like a racist stereotypical character portraying like how mainstream TV watchers were portraying Chinese characters in the 90s, and like that's a whole bit. So it's just like a really like fun, entertaining TV show, but it's also got some crunch to it. It's got some depth, and it just does a lot of like interesting things. Like the wushu kung fu action scenes are just like really stylized and awesome and well done. And then there's a bonkers episode where they just go 100% into the Monkey King's world, and they do it in a 70s style kung fu movie. Framing and treatment, and that's like pretty awesome. Yeah, and the performances are good. It's like one of those things where everybody has an emotional appeal to them that is really well earned. So I think that's a for sure watch. I binged it, but I think it can also be appreciated in a watch fashion.
Do you think it also has appeal to non-Asian Americans?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. It's just good.
All right. My watch list is Elemental, the Disney Pixar film that came out, I don't know, maybe that was about a month and a half ago now at this point. I don't think it's in theaters anymore. So unfortunately, our recording of this came maybe a little bit too late. This movie I thought was really phenomenal. I think it didn't get good reviews, and I think some of the criticisms are fine and they're valid, but I think reviewers sort of just missed the mark on like how impactful the movie got built and how all of these like stories and feelings are in there. I don't know. It had a huge impact on me. I felt like super connected to the movie, super connected to the characters. I thought this was a really, 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 really good Pixar movie. I don't know, maybe the best one I feel like I've seen in a while, or the one that I've enjoyed the most in a while.
Wow.
I don't know, I just thought, and it was like beautifully done. The art was great. I don't know, it just felt great. It was at its core an immigrant story, which I'm not from an immigrant family, but know enough people who have talked about their experience as immigrants to understand like sort of the underlying like feelings and issues and struggles that the characters were taking on here. And I think that made it more of an in-depth story, both from like friends who are Asian American who have immigrant parents, but also my students often have immigrant parents, and they will talk about like sort of the feelings that they have or the struggles that they have and the things that they're going through. And I think all of that is like part of this. And so a great movie for a lot of people to be seen in, like, to have their selves reflected on screen. And I don't know, I really enjoyed this movie. And like for me, I walked out being like, man, that was like a 9 or a 10 for me. Like I loved every minute of that show. And I was disappointed to read the reviews afterwards that really they were kind of like, yeah, this kind of mediocre, like didn't say anything new, didn't blah blah. And I was like, I don't know, that feels like a jaded way of watching this movie, just to expect like, oh, this movie needs to be groundbreaking or blah blah. And it's like, that's not what it was. But I think it told a very honest story in a beautiful way, and that's, I don't know, it hit me pretty deep. Maybe I had low expectations too, but every adult I've talked to that's seen it loved it. Kids apparently don't love it, so it's not necessarily a kids movie. It's got very like adult themes.
Is it like Soul, where it's like, it's one of those? Yeah, is it like Soul where it's good maybe, but it's not a kids movie, and that alone just kind of makes it in a weird no man's land of, okay, who was this movie actually intended for? Because even like if you're saying, because I read reviews too of this story being like an immigrant story with the relationship between Ember and the father and the the business and all that, and I'm like, okay, that is a compelling story, but is that just something that maybe through the lens of it being a animated element story just Like you're not, you're kind of like isolating both crowds. Like it's too adult for kids and too kid for adults.
It's I think the
Because I
answer
felt
is no.
Soul had that problem. Like
ultimately.
It was good, but like it's about death and existential shit and your meaning in life. But it's also animated. So like, yo, who was the target audience for this?
Yeah. I think that's a good question. I don't know. I didn't walk away feeling like that was a problem in this movie. It was, I mean, it's more about a younger person who's a young adult. So she's maybe, equivalent of being like in her, like late high school, early college kind of age, or maybe late college. I don't know, like that kind of age. And so that is, I don't know, people that age and people my age are used to seeing things in animated form and okay with it, and it wasn't too serious. It was beautiful. It was a love story as well, like kind of roped into there. That was really good. So I don't know. I don't think that was the problem here in this one. But I do think that it wasn't aimed for kids is probably a problem in that, like, you don't have kids supporting it. You don't have kids clamoring to go see it and buy all the Elemental like merch, that hype that would have built up if it was there. But
okay.
Yeah,
I don't care.
My 7-year-old niece really did not like it.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's what I've heard. And forced me to watch Little Mermaid instead.
Did her mom like it?
I don't know that she watched it.
Okay. She watched it by herself in the theater?
They had a bootleg.
Oh, they had a bootleg. Okay.
Nice.
Well,
that's how parents do. They can't be taking kids to the theater.
I miss the days of hitting
for a 2-hour movie.
I remember the days going hit up the bootleg, man. We had all the DVDs, all the albums. You would get Soul playing and Get Rich or Die Trying. The album and the movie.
Twofer.
I'm disappointed this one didn't do that well, and that like people didn't go see it, because I think it was I was way better than Soul for me, but maybe I just didn't relate to Soul as much. But Soul felt like it just had some issues that were sort of story-wise, like they were in there, whereas this one didn't feel that way. This one wasn't a complicated story, but this one had a meaningful story to me, and I thought that was important. All right, let's see. Cancel. It's time for cancel, the part where you get to shit talk your least favorite content. Mine is Secret Invasion. I've been watching the Secret Invasion show, and it just didn't hit the mark for me. There were some parts that were great. I think Savon would tell you, like, the acting is like great. Like, there's so, like, the performances of Samuel L., of Don Cheadle, of Olivia Newton, phenomenal. Even Ben
Olivia Newton is like from Greece.
The singer. Yeah, Olivia Colman. She's actually Academy Award winning, I think, or nominee or something. She's big time.
Yeah, she won
Even though I don't know her. I didn't know her before the show.
Good.
Doesn't she shows up in The Bear, I think, season 2 actually, which was weird. So just yeah, it was a mess, or I thought it was a mess, especially the last episode. I was pretty annoyed with how they did everything. A lot of things were kind of happened off screen. You're sort of supposed to be invested in certain character feelings and growths and motivations, and it felt like none of that was earned. They kind of didn't stick the landing to me. I don't know. So I'm canceling it. I thought this was kind of a waste of a show, and I wish they had, I don't know, taken more time with it or something, but it was a weak show. I think the second episode was great, and beyond that, I thought everything was kind of just meh. And the last episode, I was really disappointed with how they did it. I thought just not a very good way to end the show. Not because I didn't like the ending. It didn't feel like it flowed together. It didn't feel like it actually answered questions from the show that needs to be answered, and it just didn't seem like I need to be in that world anymore.
Me and Wes talked about the show, and when we was talking about the show, Wes got so mad at me arguing late at night that he hung up in my face and cut off his PlayStation mid-conversation. That is the man Wesley Nakamura.
End of conversation.
It
was towards the end. It was towards
man,
the end.
I literally said, man, Wes, I don't have time for this. And then I was getting ready to wrap up a point, and then it just said Wesley Nakamura has left the chat. I saw it top of the screen. I was there. And then this man will send a bunch of apology texts afterwards, like, man, don't try and gaslight me into thinking you wasn't just doing some real disrespectful shit. You could dislike what you like, but y'all, man, I need y'all to know, world, this is the true Wesley Nakamura. This is the abuse I have to put up with off the air when we're not on this podcast. Don't make him think he's some victim who we be talking shit to him. Wesley out here
Savon's
hopping on
facts.
bumpers and cutting off. He's a fascist.
Savon's facts are true.
Damn
right. Definitely turned off the PS5 while he was talking, which meant that our conversation ended. So it was like I slammed the door closed on him while he was talking.
And went home.
It was 100% accidental. 100% accidental.
A targeted accident.
I mean, my brain really was tired and forgot that we were talking on PS5. For some reason, my brain thought we were talking on the phone. And so when I turned my PS5 off and his voice got cut off, I was like, oh, no. And then, I mean, not because what I thought he was going to say, I was going to agree with. I was definitely not going to agree with whatever he was going to say. But I didn't mean to actually hang up the phone on him. And I don't like it when people don't like me. So I'm sitting here like, mass texting Savon like, oh, I'm so sorry, bro. I didn't mean to do that.
Boat has left Barbie Land.
and this man, you know, he's not letting me get away with that at all. So my bad, Savon. Mea culpa. Totally my fault. I did not intend for you to be cut off in your words. Your words are important to me, friend. Your words are important. Anyways, that's my cancel. Secret Invasion. I don't know, Savon, would you put it in the cancel bucket or nah?
No, I still enjoyed it. I mean, it was a very flawed show that had a lot of issues, but I still enjoyed watching it. But again, right. I can enjoy watching something that is flawed and still appreciate what it's good at.
I think it had fatal flaws. I don't mind things that are flawed. I think it had fatal flaws. All right.
I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to split I'm going to be the tiebreaker and say like it was okay to watch. It was cool. Like it had enjoyable moments. But the more that I think about it, cancel it.
Yes! I got the award-winning director on my side on this one. Did you actually end up finishing the series, or did you stop because you were like, eh? Okay.
I mean, I stopped midway because I was like, there's other more interesting stuff to watch right now. I don't think they stuck the landing quite right. They glossed over a lot of things. A lot of those fight scenes were just like nonsensical, like the president getting involved and stuff. Like what? Yeah,
made no sense.
And they missed them, and they missed the best part is that like Rhodey's a Skrull. Like, come on, they could have done so much with that. This is just like a missed opportunity.
Such a missed opportunity. All right, what's your cancel, Brian?
I mentioned this earlier. Little Mermaid that I was dragged to by my nieces. Of all movies. The new movie, the live action version. And I mean, we all knew this going in. Like, why is Disney doing this?
It didn't look good.
This whole thing of adapting like classic Disney animated movies into live action, but that are still very much cartoonish. Like,
that's
maybe
awful.
even more so because they're using real actors. It's even more cartoonish. Like, all of that's got to go. Get rid of it. Cancel it. I mean, Daveed Diggs is in this movie playing Sebastian with his fake Jamaican accent. Hardcore. Like, so much cringe. Like, the ocean is not made of water in this movie. It's made of cringe. Like, it goes deep. Like, come on. Why are we doing this? Why? And they added songs. Did they need to add songs?
Just things
Some
like
of them are
Scuttle has a song written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Like, how do they enlist these people to make such garbage? Why? That's the biggest atrocity here.
All right. Sounds bad. Savon, you're finishing us up here. What is your
Oppenheimer?
Cancel? What?
Oh my God.
Oppenheimer. Floppenheimer. Sleepenheimer.
Yeah, how can you cancel it? You haven't seen it.
Because I know enough. I know enough. We do not need another boring movie set piece in World War II about just old people, Americans just doing awful stuff and stuff that ends up just effing over minorities. It's boring. Nobody wants to see that. If I want to learn about Oppenheimer, I'll read a damn book or I'll watch like a documentary. I don't need the history stuff. There's nothing worse than when they try and take historical stuff and then they have to make it dramatized and add all this extra shit. The history ends up getting lost in translation. I'm never a fan of dramatizing it because you end up interpreting events in a way that, granted, there's no truly unbiased way of telling historical events that you weren't personally there for or saw firsthand. But I know having a bunch of actors who do dialogue and stuff is not, to me, a good way to tell a historically accurate story. You say, give me a boring documentary where some professor talks about their research stuff that it's dry, it's boring, and it's accurate. I don't need effing 3 timelines to tell a story about a dude who built
this
a
man
bomb.
said, "Give me the Ken Burns version."
Yeah, you say, I'm saying,
Oh my
who the hell needs 3 timelines to tell a story about a dude who built a bomb and felt bad about it after? Like, you do not need 3 storylines in that. There are movies with actual time travel that don't have as many timelines as this shit. So, like, Christopher Nolan, I know you're a talented actor, and then doing all this, the most high-def super cameras in the world to record
super camera
to record a dude breathing hard, you know, being sad about stuff. Boy, what? You think anybody will watch me have a 4K session with me and my therapist talking about whatever, and you can really see the hairs on Savon's nose. You can see the sweat from his follicles as he really contemplates, am I the person I thought I was or who I am? I don't want to see that shit.
Everybody wants to see it. It's good.
Everybody
won't see that shit. Nah, I'm just, it's a movie about a bomb, and then they barely have a bomb. Come on.
Barely.
Hey, come on.
No, they really had it. But the way they did it is incredible.
But barely anything else.
Incredible.
I'm sorry. I just don't want to watch 3 timelines. If you have a movie with multiple timelines, it needs to be some science fiction shit right off the bat. But if you got multiple timelines about actual historical events that's mostly just talking, I'm like, dude, that shit sound boring. Like,
it was science fiction at the time.
What?
If this movie came out at that time, maybe I feel a little bit differently. But it's 2023. There's a million other interesting.
Your take is so bad, the police are coming for you.
That's not even in me. That's not even where that's coming from me. That's not even coming on my thing. And no, the police need to come for y'all for thinking that this is quality entertainment, because people so hyped up thinking that they gotta be counterculture. Oh, I'm not about these just box office Marvel movie superhero remake stuff that they convince themselves, they gaslight themselves into watching some boring shit they know they won't watch. You know damn well you don't want to sit and watch these people talk for 3 hours, but then y'all want to gas yourself up like it's some fire shit because Robert Downey Jr.'s in it. Who gives a damn? It's Robert Downey Jr. Don't act like he just magically. They put all the big.
I'm putting this clip on Instagram.
It's like
terrible take.
It's like they
terrible.
It's like they took the cast from This Is the End and say, okay, we're gonna put
He's
all.
not done. He's still going.
It's like when they took This Is the End and it's like, we're gonna take all the most famous people, put them in the movie, and regardless of what their role is, people say, ooh, look, so and so's in this.
That was Ocean's 13. You're talking about the wrong movie.
So-and-so's in this. For a bomb movie with no bomb. It's not even
There's
like
a bomb.
It's like,
it comes off.
Nah, someone needs to throw a pie. Someone needs to slip on a banana or have a joke or some shit. Nah, bro. Cancel Oppenheimer. Movies are meant to be entertaining. If you want to learn, read a book or watch a documentary.
Dude, this movie is so entertaining.
Mic drop. Savage out. Cancel it.
That is like
Firefly season 1. Cancel that shit.
Oh my god.
Get him out
have
of
a
here.
Beer. He wants to have a beer with George Washington.
He didn't even see it. He hasn't seen it. Don't listen to this tape.
Somebody brewski beer me.
If you want to learn history, read a book.
Read a book. Watch Oppenheimer. They got people who go watch Oppenheimer and then walk out like there's some effing World War II experts. Well, actually, it was because of McCarthyism and the Red Scare that pay attention to history class. We've been learning about this.
All right, we're going to wrap it up on that one. Hit us up on socials at confidently_pod. This has been a binge watch cancel.
Let us know which of the 3 of us you'd want to binge watch or cancel. My vote right now is canceling Savon.
Yes, I'm not the canceled one.
The streets love me.
All right, friends. See you later. Bye.
Rebel.